What's up, guys? Welcome to Film Trash. Today I thought it would be fun to rank the A Nightmare on Elm Street series from worst to best. Now, before I begin, I want to say that this is just my opinion. I'm not saying that my opinion is right and everybody else is wrong. You're welcome to have your own opinion about it. So I just don't want anybody to get angry in the comments because they didn't like my opinion. I totally understand if you don't agree with me, and that's fine. Alright, so let's start off with number 9, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child. Now, I know a lot of people might disagree with me on this because everybody seems to hate the remake the most. I see a lot of people put that on their list as the worst of the franchise. Personally, I disagree, and I'll explain a little bit more about why I don't think the remake is as bad as a couple of the other ones. But as far as the 5th entry in the franchise goes, I personally think it's the worst. It is really, really cheesy. It came out right around the height of the Freddy craze, and it's just full of one-liners. They were just trying to pump these movies out and get money, and they ended up being really bad. The story is dumb, in my opinion. Some of the stuff in there is just way over the top cheesy. For instance, Super Freddy.
Yes, Super Freddy! Told ya! Comic books was bad for ya!
So yeah, in my opinion, that is the worst of the franchise. Way worse than the remake, in my opinion. And definitely deserving of the worst film in the franchise. Alright, so let's move on to number 8. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. Once again, this was kind of in the height of the Freddy craze. A lot of one-liners that are just terrible, a lot of cheesiness. There was also a lot of problems with production. One of the characters, they had to shoot a new death scene for him or something. I don't remember the story behind it, but they kind of did it last minute and didn't have Robert Englund, so they just had a scene where he fights an invisible Freddy doing karate in a dream. It's super weird. It doesn't make any sense. It's just awful.
A true warrior needs no eyes.
Come on out and fight me, you chicken shit!
Yeah, I don't like this movie at all either, honestly. Alright, let's move on to number 7. And this is the one that you guys probably been waiting for. The Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010. Yeah, it's pretty bad, I agree. I really don't like the movie. The reason I put it a little bit above the last couple entries is mainly because it at least tried to be serious. The one-liners and cheesiness that you got in some of the later entries into the franchise aren't there. It's definitely more of a serious film. The gore is actually pretty good. I really like some of the death scenes, especially the opening one, where the guy just slits his own throat in the diner. It's really cool in my opinion. The problem with the film, however, is mainly the story. I also didn't really appreciate the CGI that they used for Freddy. I just don't think the makeup looked good. I was excited for the film when I first heard about it because Jackie Earle Haley plays Freddy, and I loved him in The Watchmen as Rorschach, so I was looking forward to it, and I don't think he did a bad job with the character. I just think that the bad makeup coupled with the bad story just makes it an unenjoyable film. The main qualm I have with it is that in the originals, they tell you that Freddy was a child murderer. And that's kind of what it is. I mean, being a child murderer, that's scary to me. In this one, they make him just sort of a molester, and that just makes him feel gross. It doesn't feel like a scary character, it feels like a gross character. So, that is, in my opinion, one of the big reasons why the remake just wasn't good. Alright, moving on to number 6. Which is also the 6th movie in the franchise, Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. This movie is also pretty cheesy like 4 and 5 were. Again, this was kind of during the big craze when Nightmare on Elm Street was a really big franchise. But this one I put higher up on the list, mainly because of nostalgia, to be honest. I recognize that it is still a pretty cheesy movie. I mean, just look at the Power Glove scene.
Bam! Splat!
Is that him?
Jump boy!
Oh shit, Spencer! Come on, John. Good. Get out of here now, please. Now.
Hey! You forgot the power glove! Ow! Boing.
But I love the movie because I got to go see it in theaters with my brother when I was a kid, and I loved it. The 3D part at the end with the glasses and everything, it was really cool. I recognize now that it's not a very good movie, but back then I loved it. So that's why I put it here on my list. Alright, let's move on to number 5. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. This movie was actually a pretty decent one. I really enjoy it. It's a little bit weird. The story kind of doesn't make sense within the franchise itself. There's some weird stuff with him using the main character's body to kill other people, and then eventually he transforms out of the guy's body into the real world. It's a bit strange, but it's still a good movie, and it has one of my favorite quotes in the entire franchise.
You are all my children now.
So yeah, all around, a pretty solid movie. I would recommend it. Alright, let's move on to number 4, Freddy Vs. Jason. This is another one that is a little bit cheesy. However, I really enjoy this movie, and I know a lot of people do too. I mean, we finally got to see 2 big horror icons fight to the death, and it's something that fans had been wanting for years, and we finally got it. And while it wasn't the greatest, and it was still a little cheesy, it was a great movie. It was a lot of fun, and I wish we could have more stuff like this, more films of, you know, big horror titans fighting it out. I think it would be awesome, but this is the best we've got, and I'll take it. Number 3 on my list, this is where things get a little tough for me. The last 3 movies are all great in their own way. For this one, for number 3, I put Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. This is the 7th movie in the franchise. It came out after Freddy's dead.
Miss me?
I was already a huge fan of the franchise, and getting this fresh new look that was much more serious than some of the previous films, it was really, really cool. I definitely loved it. I still think it's a great movie. Some of the acting in it is, it's okay. But the story, the makeup, I especially love the new makeup they used for Freddy Krueger and the new glove. It was awesome. I absolutely love it. Highly recommended by me. Alright, that leaves us with the final 2. And I know that a lot of people seem to interchange these 2 quite a bit, so it's a tough one to choose, but for number 2, I'm going with A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. This is another great movie, not even just a great movie within the franchise itself, but just a great horror movie all around. It's got some really great death scenes, a great storyline. I absolutely loved it. There is a little bit of cheesiness within this film. Some of the characters were a little bit too cliche 80s. For instance, the punk rocker girl and the nerdy D&D guy.
In the name of Lorik, Prince of Elves, demon be gone!
But it was still a solid movie. The kills are incredible. Some of the best in the entire series, including some really great special effects scenes. One of my favorites in the series. And yeah, just an incredible movie. I know a lot of people put this one as number one, and like I said, it was tough to choose, but I'm putting it at number 2, which means that number 1 is the original A Nightmare on Elm Street. What can I say? It's a great movie, great story, really inventive bad guy. You know, we had seen so many slashers where you just had like a masked guy who walks around with a machete and doesn't say anything. And Wes Craven gave us something different. He gave us a character that talks, that has a unique weapon that can only get to us in our dreams, but that we can't get away from when we're in our dreams. You know, with Jason or Michael Myers, you can at least run away or try to run away or whatever, but with Freddy, everybody has to sleep eventually. I think it's a great character design, very unique, original, and the story was great. Great characters, some amazing kills. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Friday the 13th and Halloween and all those, and they have some good kills, but I mean, I just don't think that anything can top the inventiveness of the A Nightmare on Elm Street series. So, like I said, solid movie, absolute classic. It's my favorite of the franchise, one of my favorite horror films of all time. You just can't go wrong watching it. So, that does it for my ranking of the A Nightmare on Elm Street series. I would love to hear in the comments below what you guys think. What would you rank each movie? Like I said, this is just my opinion, so you're welcome to have your own opinion, and I'd love to hear it. And if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you want to get some merch, I got some merch in the link in the description below. You can check that out. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more franchise rankings in the future. Not just horror movies either. I would love to rank all of Wes Anderson's films, for instance. I think Wes Anderson is a great filmmaker. So keep an eye out for those. And if you hit the notification bell down below, you'll be notified when I post more videos like this. Until then, I will see you guys next time.